The difference between a dream and achieving it is that you have to wake up. Wake up to inspiration, motivation, and acceleration. Gain momentum. Listen to Mortal Expedition with the Oracle. Mortal Expedition.
What do we have for today? It's one of many things we've talked about many times. It's something you've heard before, and I like to think of my sessions as friendly reminders. So that means you might not be getting new information, you're just being reminded of what you know, what you may have forgotten or you're ignoring. Of course, the information would be relevant for a select few, but most people will go through this phase. It borders on relationships. Yes, indeed. Now, I say this many times as I need to. I do not come with intent to teach, because there's too much to learn. But I come with the intention of sharing stories and hoping that you and I get something from it. Now, the idea behind today's topic came from observation of so many people who were in relationship problems, and one question they always got was, didn't you notice this when you guys were dating before you got married? And the answers to that question varies from I thought he or she will change, to I even thought I could change them, to I didn't think it was a big deal. Many different answers. But the point is they were ignoring some very clear things. Or they hoped blindly that somehow it was going to get better. So the focus this morning on Mortal Expedition is things you must not ignore in a relationship. You mustn't. There are so many rules for people who are single and so many rules for people who are married, but there's not a lot for people who are just about to get married. You know that window? You're not married yet, but you found a person. Maybe you fixed a wedding date. Everyone is working towards. So that small, you might be weeks or month window where, we're planning, we're doing this, we're doing that. Too many things happen in that short time. Now, I think we do not have enough orientation when it comes to the transition from single to married. For a major part in our society, and really in many countries in the world, marriage, not really counseling, but, premarital classes and teaching is left for religious institutions. So most people, what will happen is a few weeks to their wedding, or maybe a few months, your church or your religious organization organizes some kind of class, something to teach. And it's a crash course, really. It just lasts for a few. Okay, don't do this. When she's angry, do this. Don't go to bed angry. All those basic rules. I think it's not enough. I think that we should constantly understand human relations, generally, with friendships, with relationships, with partnerships. It will help you better manage your relationships. That's what I feel. But anyways, away from that. So things you must not ignore in a relationship. Things that matter have always mattered and will always matter. But somehow, you either refused to see it, you saw it and thought it was not a big deal, or you felt you could change it. Those are the things we're talking about this morning. That little spark that has become an inferno, that you had the opportunity of doing something about while it was a spark. That small thing that didn't matter. Why? Because you hurriedly wanted to get married. You could not wait to get into that marriage. What are those things? Well, I have 10 of them. Are we ready? I think I heard you say yes, and that's good enough for me.
This is number 1.
The first one, which is basic really, habits and lifestyle. Now, when you met this person, they had a certain way they lived. Everyone has a habit. Everybody. Could be a good habit, a bad habit, but we all do. There are things we do every day. You and I know someone who works out every day. You know, they take a jog in the morning, a 15-minute walk. They've done it so long, that's what they are defined by. As a matter of fact, people in the neighborhood, if they don't see them in the morning, say, where is this guy? Why? It's become a habit. You and I know someone who smokes, and has been smoking for as long as we know them. It's always been there. If he goes to a store, people who know him say, Alpha, make I bring the cigar. Say, which kind of thing be that one? I want to drink, so okay, I think say a cigar, can you come? So people know them by these habits. That's what they do. We all have habits. I mean, think about it. You and I shower every day. Oh, well, I hope we shower every day. But you know, there are things that people always do. They've done it so many times that when they forget to do it, their body reminds them. And if they do it long enough, it becomes a lifestyle. It becomes something to define them. If somebody came into a neighborhood and was asking about that person, they don't know their name. Somebody was looking for me and they came to my area. I said, that guy, we black. I say, no, I'm all. They would start to explain what you do for someone to get who they're talking about. So if you're talking about me, you're very likely, and you don't know my name, you'll start with the dark, tall guy, and then says no. You say something like, that guy we get beer now, that's... You say, oh, okay. And maybe you don't know that. You could say something like, that way to work for radio. You would have to define me based on what I do on a regular for people to know, oh, that's the person you're talking about. And so everybody has habits. Everyone. We have things we do every day. Everybody has a certain lifestyle they are defined by. When you meet your partner and you guys are locked in the whatever of love, which is beautiful, by the way, consider their habits. If there's anything they do you don't like, if it's a habit or a lifestyle, you want to be very careful as to how you approach it. The two things you ask yourself is, can I live with this? If the answer is no, you have to have conversations around whether or not something can be done. I'm not going to meet someone who smokes, has been smoking for as long as possible. That's their lifestyle. Maybe I'm not comfortable with it, and then hope and believe that I'm going to change them. It will not work. That person is going to stop smoking when they decide to stop smoking, when they've seen the need to. Not because they are married to someone who doesn't like it. It's not enough. It's been there long before you came. Their life is now defined by that action. And so saying I do on some altar, signing some papers, looking deep in your eyes and saying I love you is not enough to stop anybody from smoking. I'm using smoking because it's a common example. So you need to understand that habits, lifestyle, defines people. But marriage, to a certain extent, is a bit of a definition. But nobody ever stopped or changed just because they were married. So when you meet them, the thing they are known for, the thing they do constantly, what their body is programmed to demand, that's always going to happen until it doesn't happen anymore. But you're not big enough. What you can do is you can influence your partner to make a change. That happens. It could be a positive influence, an impact on their life. But it has to come with them being willing. I'll give you an example. I remember when I was in school. I know a guy who knows a guy. Now, this dude could not sleep alone at night. He just wasn't used to it. He always had a girlfriend, had a wonderful room, spends time with his girl. Everyone knows, this is this guy's girlfriend. But he literally could not sleep alone at night. He was always with her at night. Now, you wouldn't know that this is a problem until you're deprived of that thing. So I think his girlfriend travels or something, is not around. And then the guy begins to realize, this night, it gets us a bill. Long story short, let's say he was able to solve the problem. I'm sure you know what I mean. But let's say he did not sleep alone that night. and his girlfriend did not come back. So a guy who is like that has to have someone in his corner who he needs to cuddle, and that someone must not be his partner, now decides to get married, which he will eventually do. Now, you and I know that one day the wife will travel. One day he will travel. Life will happen. What do you think is going to happen when by, I don't know, life happening, he's alone in one town? Obviously, you and I are thinking in the same direction. He will not sleep alone. So what am I saying? I'm saying that when it comes to habits and lifestyle, you have to consider what you're willing to live with, what you like, what you do not like, and how to approach it. But do not approach it with, I will change him, she will change when we get married. It's not going to happen until it needs to happen. Do you understand me? Okay.
Number 2.
The next thing is, how does this person handle power or success if they're in a position of privilege? Or better yet, let me rephrase this. How do they treat people they believe they are bigger than? Think about it. You've met that person who shouts at the attendant whenever they feel they are in a position of power, whenever there's someone lesser than them. How do they treat such people? You see, that's a sign of bad things to come. Let me tell you something. There's this position that most men hold. Or a lot of men, maybe not all. When woman get money past man, she go begin they do this one. It might be true for some women. Maybe there are people who have had that experience. But it's not true for everyone. You know why? The women who are more successful than their husbands and are still supporting the family, those are the stories we don't hear about because they don't talk about it. I mean, it's not a performance. But we hear of the one woman who is earning more and is already feeling one kind. It happens. Now, guess what? When they were dating, there were little things that woman did to people she was bigger than. In positions of power or success, she oppressed the weak. Now, the guy very likely did not see it as a problem because maybe at that time, he was not lesser than she was at the time. Well, guess what? Now she has a better job. Now she's more successful. Now she has more power, purchasing power than you do. So you are now that attendant. You are now the weak. And she will treat you exactly how she treated that person. So how does this person handle power? How do they treat people they believe they are bigger than? Little things that make a big difference. You say, oh, she was just angry. Oh, he was just this one. Tomorrow, if the tables turn and by virtue of whatever, you become a little bit powerless and they are a little bit more powerful, you, my dear, will taste the same medicine. There are people, regardless of their position, they are kind, they are warm, they are respectful. And if nobody tells you that this person is so and so, you will not believe it. Case in point, now I can't speak for her personal life, but as much as I know, because there's one woman I admire so much, Ibukun Awosika. I've seen countless speeches. I mean, if you know this woman, which I believe you do, you understand that she has sat in rooms that you and I may never enter. But she's still as kind, as warm. Now again, as I said, I don't live with her, so maybe there's someone shouting at someone that we don't know. But I know there are people that have been successful at the highest levels, and they're still very nice people. So it's not a question of the position or the power, it's a question of who they are. So if your partner treats people a little bit badly, they're going to take that into marriage, and trust me, you will taste it at some point. Give it time, you will.
Number 3.
Number 3, you've heard from your pastor, your imam, your parents, and everyone who feels they know a thing or two about relationships and marriage, and they were all right. So I'm not going to dwell on this too long. How do they handle anger? Hey, you see this one? This one, well, again, I said I won't dwell on it too long. Everybody's going to get angry. Anger is a perfectly natural human emotion. The same way you feel happy, sad, disgusted, all those things, they happen. In your human life, if you're old enough to understand what I'm saying, that means you're old enough to have gotten angry at some point, gotten excited, ecstatic, disgusted, whatever. These things happen. Somebody's going to piss you off. I was in traffic yesterday or the day before. I know we're going somewhere. And there was this driver that was just unfortunate. And in my mind, I like, made this guy know where, you know, those unique Port Harcourt plenty motor in one place situations where, well, because of the construction here and there, a lot of cars have to turn at some point. And everybody's putting here small, boom, this one go, you go small. We're trying to cover up the space so that we know who will enter first. You know those, yeah, if you've driven in this town, you must have been in that situation once or twice. And there was this overzealous guy that was just, you know. Well, the point is, you're going to get provoked at some point. Through no fault of yours. You'll be in that position where you have to get angry. So it's natural that you will be angry. You're not getting married and hoping that, oh, my wife will never get angry. No. Anger will not cease to exist because you got married. It will happen. And she will get angry more than when she was a single lady. Because now she has to put up with you. And you're a hell of a case. I've heard your story, by the way. You know the hear word. You know the hear. I'm looking for that the coconut head sound effect. Anyways. So the point is, it's going to happen. Now, when your partner is angry, how do they handle it? Are they the type that will break plate? Are they the type that will be quiet? Are they the type that will raise voice? And we all have ways that we react to these things. But for some people, it costs a whole lot more than a sad face. I saw a video on Instagram where a guy, I don't know what he was doing in front of the TV, but his woman was angry. And she came, took something like a bat and smashed the television. I say, yeah? Wow. And the comments under that video, people were livid just watching it. But that's somebody's wife. That's somebody's wife. And maybe while they were dating, you know, they were supposed to go on a date. And she called a cab. And the guy said, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And he got there in 10 minutes. And she changed it for the guy. Was shouting, pulling his shirt. Maybe even wanted to smash his window. You not held her. They say, oh God, this woman says she's just angry. You know, the cab man did not. My brother, that guy's window tomorrow will be your window. So what I'm saying is you will be provoked, you will get angry. It's the reaction that would differ. So check how your partner reacts to anger. If you don't like it, you want to have conversations before you cross the border. Because you can cross from single to married very easily. But once you've entered that married, crossing back, it's not too easy. I've heard from people. They say it's hard. Moving on.
Number 4.
If they are constantly testing your boundaries, constantly is a key word. This one, well, for many of the points I would say analyze your situation, but there are a few points where you might have to run. Now, there are some boundaries you've set. You have this partner who's always pushing it. The most popular example is, oh, I don't want to have sex. I don't want to go further sexually. And, you know, they keep saying, Now, I understand that meeting someone, there are some boundaries they would set that may not be favorable. Not because it's bad or it's good, but they just don't want it. And we would have to come to a compromise. We'll have to have conversations about whether or not this can work. I mean, I've been in situations where I've had to accept something I was not completely okay with, even with my partner. But because that was what was required at the time. I've also been in situations where I pushed my partner to do what she did not exactly want to do at a particular time. Because that's what I wanted. So we all have been there and we're going to be there. However, if somebody has a culture of always testing, in this relationship, I don't want to have sex. And they persuade, they shout, they get angry, they do unkind until maybe you not agree. Then on a Sunday, you're at home. That's your free day from work. You don't want to go anywhere. You have plans and they say, come to my house. And you're like, no, today is my... Boom, you're in the person's house. They are always pushing you to change. The key word is always, by the way. As I said, there are things you do for your partner that you naturally don't want to do. That's the sacrifice. It happens. But if you have this partner who is always... Anytime you do this one, they make you do another one. Every single time. You want to check that. That's a problem. And you know what? We will not see it as a problem. What we'll see is that he really loves me. He can't get enough. Shut up your mouth. That's a problem. But you will not see it now. Is when you people will not enter the marriage and one will not happen. Bam! You now start calling pastor by 2 a.m. Pastor that is also supposed to be enjoying the wife that is not pushing his own boundary. Say, pastor, I don't know. I feel like sometimes if we could actually hear what our pastors are thinking, because of God's work, he'll just say, my sister. But in his mind, he say, which kind of wahala? Who's... But the man is just there, oh, bless you, sister. Well, I'm going to pray for you. You don't need prayer. Excuse me. You don't need prayer. You need to have thought about what you had and how you're going to handle it and allow that man sleep. So constantly pushing your boundaries. Constantly. That's your problem. Moving on.
Number 5.
If your partner has a sense of entitlement, we've seen this one too many times. They believe that there are things that they have to get. You know how you innocently are on radio, like Samuel Opportunity do? You're innocently speaking English. You have conversations with people about their relationships and, you're just doing what you're supposed to do. And then one message comes on WhatsApp, boom, Sam. I say, yes, my dear. I've been dating this guy for 2 years and he has not spent up to so and so amount on me. In your mind, you want to say, okay, let me approach that differently. And then you calmly say, well, you see, let me approach that differently again. Do not have a sense of entitlement. Simple. There are people who believe that you owe them a certain... Now, there are things that come with relationships. There are things that come with being in certain situations. For example, I work here, I do my part. At the end of the month, there's a paycheck that should come. It's something I've earned. It's a part of the contract. I do my part, you do your part. But in a position of... It's crazy how someone whose job is communication at certain times lack the words to... I want to put this in a way that we can differentiate between... If they have a sense of entitlement, that's a problem. I just hope you understand. Thank you. This one will not kill me. Moving on.
Number 6.
Now, the next thing you need to do is check their relation with family. How do they treat their own family? You know why you want to do that? Because if you marry them, you will become their family. 2, check how they talk to you about your own family. A person who respects their family members is a person who takes family seriously. That means if you become their family member, that respect, you also get your own share. Now, I know that there are people who have problems with family. I know that. I understand. There are some persons who now are saying, I will never forgive my father. I can get it. They may have a, solid reason to do that. However, you see, respect is something every human being should get. Even enemies respect each other. At the war front, when this one is shooting and fighting and there is still mutual respect, there are times where they will still tell themselves, this one is off limits. And they're enemies. So the basic thing anybody can get from you, even though it has to be earned, is respect. So you can be angry with your family members. You can, maybe even loathe them. But when it enters disrespect, it's crazy. So how does this person treat family? And how do they influence how you treat your family? That will tell you a lot about what you're going to get and how you should handle it.
Number 7.
Number 7, they have no work ethic. This is basic. Everybody you meet should be going somewhere. I don't want, and I'm sure you don't want as well, the kind of relationship where the person is by the side of the road. You are going, you now meet them, you now back them, carry them. And no, you're on your way somewhere, I'm on my way somewhere. Meeting you and being your partner should help both of us get to our destinations, or better yet, help our journeys. So it's a journey. The wheels are moving. How does this person handle work? Do they take their job seriously? The reason why that girl is dying for that guy who the parents have said is a nobody, how can you marry that vulcanizer, is because she has seen that even though right now he doesn't have so much, the way he handles work, the guy has a vision and he pursues goals. Now that he's faithful in little, when big comes, he will also be able to. So I'm going to meet a woman who's on her way somewhere, because I'm on my way somewhere. If she takes work seriously, responsibility, then small will become big. But you meet someone who has no interest in that type, they just want to lie down and lie down in green pasture. When it comes to responsibility, their job, the things they're supposed to do, the part they should play in a larger scheme of things, there's that laxity. You want to be very careful. I'm serious. What I'm saying basically translates to don't marry a lazy person. But it's beyond being lazy. It's about work ethic. There are principles that guard people. Discipline. So if the person that you are dating, it does not look like they take some of these things seriously, my dear, well, I would advise that you speak to them, but I would advise that you leave them. This one, I'm not even saying we can talk it out. No. Because love is just the doorknob. It opens the door. When you enter, you will jam discipline, you will jam responsibility, commitment, and many other things that love cannot. Even if you look at love, you say, my hand, no, look me, I beg. This one no be. And those are things that sustain long-term relationships that we don't look at. But I want to say, I love him. He loves me. You're not Barney and friends. I'm happy for you. Work ethic. Serious business. Moving on.
Number 8.
No privacy or boundaries at all. Some people are so clingy. Some people are so... those people that you... Hey, baby, how are you? And the first thing they say, where are you? You're in a relationship but it feels like it's a burden. And many times we say, it's love. He really loves me. Nope. He has a problem. You see this privacy thing, some people mistake it for secrecy. No, they're not the same thing. Privacy talks about my personal space, which I must have. Whether I'm married or single, it has to happen. So let me explain this. Now, my partner has access to my phone. That means that if I'm not there, she can unlock. Like she basically, If she wants to use my phone to make a call, I'm not going to put in the code and unlock it for her. She knows how to. However, it doesn't mean she would always go through my phone. She has access. She does have access. That's one thing. So I'm not locking it away from her, but she knows not to always. So I'm sure that's going to differentiate to a great extent privacy from secrecy. There's nothing to hide. You have the keys to the door, but it doesn't always mean you're going to always open that door, but you have keys to the door. So your partner should have that kind of access, but they should not abuse your privacy, because even as a married person, you deserve some level of privacy. Now, this might lead to an argument, because I've had this conversation before, and let's say that we had a lot of people with dissenting views, and that's okay. But there should be boundaries, there should be privacy, there should be a bit of space. That's always wanting to know where you are you calling from, who is around. Please. It's not kindergarten. It's a relationship with consenting adults. If that happens in a relationship before marriage, check it. Else, that marriage would be called AKA Kirikiri. Yes. And we will ask, how many years have you been serving? Because it's a prison sentence. Moving on.
Number 9.
Check their belief system. This is extremely important. What do they believe in? And when I say this, as regards religion, as regards mentality, their mindset, a man who does not want a wife that would work, that's a belief system. Say, listen, I have the money, I'll make the money, you stay at home, I'm not gonna. No wala. That guy is also not gonna marry a woman who is a career woman, who really wants to advance in a career. Those are two different belief systems. You cannot come to that man who has made it clear from beginning that you will not work and say, we will talk, the wedding is this Saturday. If you guys are not on the same page on that, conversations must happen before, not when we marry. What is their belief system? I was speaking with Pastor Kenny the other day, and I was telling him about a pastor who told his congregation that sex in the bedroom must happen with one particular position, because that's what honors God. And if you do it in another position, you will go to hell. Now imagine that this person you're dating goes to that church and they believe this. That's a belief system. And you want to do snake in the monkey shadow, you want to hang on fan, you want to twist and... Now these are two different beliefs that are clashing. If there can be no compromise, my dear, you see that thing, that belief system, it is strong, it's holding people very... So, their belief system, if it conflicts with yours, have conversations around how you can make it work. If not, there's problem. And moving on, if you know number 10, you always know number 10.
Number 10.
What is their position/relationship with God? It's a God factor. You want to take that very seriously. Whatever they were before marriage, they are very likely going to be in marriage. That's what it is. 10 points. Things you must not ignore in a relationship before the transition to married. All right, let me run through those 10 points very quickly. 1, habits, lifestyle. 2, how they treat people they believe they are bigger than. That's how they handle power. 3, how do they handle anger? 4, they're constantly testing your boundaries. 5, they have a sense of entitlement. 6, their relationship with family. 7, no work ethic. 8, no boundaries or privacy. 9, their belief system. And 10, the God factor. That's what it is. Mortal expedition. You feel me? Of course you do.
The difference between a dream and achieving it is that you have to wake up. Wake up to inspiration, motivation, and acceleration. Gain momentum. Listen to Mortal Expedition with the Oracle. Mortal Expedition.